Are you looking to expand your aesthetic practice and attract high-quality new patients? Discover the power of digital marketing in growing your practice with a personalized strategy session. Join Ryan Davies, Equa's Marketing Director, for an exclusive 90-minute meeting. Ryan and his team will invest hours prior to your session, crafting a customized marketing plan tailored specifically for your practice. This invaluable opportunity comes at no cost to you, with no commitments attached. Schedule your meeting with Ryan today and take the first step towards transforming your practice with the potential of digital marketing. You are listening to another episode of the Business of Aesthetic podcast series, brought to you by our gold sponsors MRP and Equa Marketing. We also want to thank our silver sponsors, Pro, Knox and Lenger Law. If you would like to network and share your experience with our podcast guests and other aesthetic industry professionals, join our Facebook or LinkedIn communities by searching for Business of Aesthetics. Get ready for an insightful conversation as we connect with a true luminary in the world of aesthetics. Our host today is none other than Jeffrey Richmond, an award-winning expert in the aesthetic industry who specializes in cutting-edge research, light-based and laser dermatological therapies, and radiofrequency technologies for dermatology and cosmetic surgery practices. Over to you, Jeff.
I want to keep moving because I just have a few other topics that I'm interested about, and I have you captured in your attention, so we're going to take advantage. Pictures, before and after pictures. If I'm just starting, I'm using manufactured pictures. If my good friend Naren Aruraja was on the call with us, he would say those pictures that you're using on your website are killing your SEO because they're duplicate copy and the internet hates them and you should never use them anyway. But if you're just starting and you need to have a brag book or something like that, I get these pictures from the manufacturers. Eventually, maybe I want some of my own pictures. And then maybe even at some point, I see my own pictures on other doctors' websites or things like this. So can you maybe talk about that whole world and the crediting of pictures and the release that's needed? And just, I think people maybe get in trouble with this.
Yeah. So in order to use a picture on the internet, even if you've seen the picture 1,000 places and you got it from, I don't know, Google or Pinterest or whatever, or Twitter, wherever you found this picture, and it looks very, very innocent, you can't just put that picture on your website unless you bought a license for that picture from like one of these places like Shutterstock. So you have to actually purchase the picture. You can't just take a picture, because there are special lawyers, not us, but there are these law firms that go and look on the internet for pictures that are copyrighted, and at the same time people don't have the license for them, and they try to sue you for tens of thousands of dollars per picture. So that's one thing, like not to use those kind of pictures. The other thing is, if you're going to post a patient's picture, you have to make sure you have a consent from them that's signed by them. I sometimes see people send text messages to their clients saying, "Are you okay with me posting?" It's not enough. You need to have actually like a written consent where they understand they're not getting paid for this, and that they're giving you a license to post this in perpetuity and wherever you want. So
but what if their eyes are blacked out or their face is blocked off?
If they are possibly identifiable by anybody in those pictures, even if their eyes are blocked off or their face is blocked off, you still need a consent. If they're only okay with this cropped kind of photo, you can get a cropped consent. But you still need a consent, even if you're posting someone and someone by their necklace or by their birthmark or whatever could identify them. So you definitely need that consent. And the time to get that consent is right in the treatment room, right after the treatment. You tell them they look great, and is it okay if I post your pictures? And then right there, have the consent get signed. And then if you see a picture from somebody else's, let's say Instagram, that you love, you can, just because they posted it on Instagram does not give you the right to repost it on your own Instagram, even if you credit them. you technically are supposed to have their permission. So you can't just go and repost and say credit to whatever. That's not enough. You would actually need an agreement from them giving you the right to post that picture.
If I was given, actually, let's say I wasn't given this by a manufacturer, but let's say a manufacturer has a set of photos credited to physicians, but I buy this piece of equipment used. Am I not allowed to use those manufacturer pictures because part of my used purchase didn't include the licensing piece?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So let's say there's a manufacturer called, let's use a fake one, Xerox, and you buy their laser used. Technically speaking, you can't even use their trademark in your advertising unless they give you permission. So they could come after you for trademark infringement for you using their name, even though you own their very equipment, but they still didn't give you the right to the name because you didn't buy it new. That doesn't mean that you can't email them and say, hey, I own your laser. Is it okay with you? But most of the time, they're going to say no. So yeah, and is it something that's common? Like every time you buy a used laser, the laser manufacturer will come after you to say you can't use their words in advertising? No. But if they're mad at you for something, if you were supposed to buy a new one from the rep and the rep sees you bought a used one the next day, they're going to try to a lot of times make it difficult for you. So yeah, you need to have the permission from the trademark owner for the pictures and for the names. And if another related thing to this is, let's say you have a laser from a Chinese brand and you're advertising it as a Sciton, that's even a bigger problem because you are not just doing trademark infringement, you're also doing false advertising. So yeah, that becomes a big problem.
Yeah, I've seen that with some of the body sculpting equipment for sure. Getting off-label or getting systems from other countries that look similar and marking them under the brand name of something else.
Right.
Yeah, I would think in a lawsuit, and God forbid that piece of equipment isn't FDA approved as well. Right.
Yeah, I mean, what protects you when you're buying brand name equipment is that A, it's been tested by the FDA, and B, it's backed by a company in the US that sold you the equipment. So if you have an adverse event and it's because of the laser malfunction, you have something that you could point to the manufacturer. In this other case, when you are doing an unapproved device and there's no big US manufacturer, you're on your own. And a lot of times your insurance company will have a clause in a contract that basically saying all non-FDA approved things are not covered.
Just to stay on the topic of manufacturer type stuff, recently in the news, there's been a lot of talk, I guess, with Ozempic. And then this semaglutide that people are buying compounded. I thought of a couple other situations. I remember when for aminolevulonic acid, Levulan came out with DUSA, and then places started compounding 5-ALA, and DUSA wrote letters to a lot of those places saying, hey, you're using this off label. I can't remember exactly, but it really scared the industry. And another one I would say is, some people call it mesotherapy, but lipodissolve was that phosphatine cholate, doxycholate, the PCDC. And that was actually being used for some years, but then Kybella came into the market legally, as a not compounded, and same thing, sent out a bunch of letters saying if you're doing meso, you're home brewing at home and you're serving homebrew to all your patients.
Yeah, it's a big deal because the issue is not really with, is it okay to do compounded treatments? That's a separate issue that has a lot of gray area in it. The real issue becomes, what are you using to market? What names are you using to market compared to what you're actually doing? So if you're advertising things like FDA approved weight loss, the generic version of Ozempic, we have it available, come tomorrow. That's not really good, because you're using a trade name or the trademark Ozempic. You're not actually selling Ozempic, you're selling semaglutide. You're saying FDA approved. Semaglutide is not FDA approved. So you get yourself into a lot of trouble. And there are two possibilities, right? Like there are some clients and some companies where they're going to leave you alone because they're making a lot of money on other things. So like with Allergan and Kybella, they're not really enforcing this with their top, Botox accounts, because overall they're very happy. And so they're not trying to go after the PCDC people that much. Whereas I think the manufacturers of Ozempic and Mounjaro, they're saying like, wait, we don't have any relationship with these people, and they're just literally taking a generic version of our product that's not FDA approved, using all the money we put in marketing and all the resources we've had to make this, and they're selling it, and we're not getting anything out of this. And to them, that needs to stop. So they're really aggressively pursuing it. So if you have a semaglutide program, I would definitely encourage you to have a lawyer review all your marketing around it, because defending the lawsuit against like these giant companies is very, 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 very expensive.
You just made me write down a second to-do item. I always get stuff from talking to you. It's amazing. Yeah, I know that we're our Medspa is offering. I don't know how we're marketing it, but I need to take a look at it. I know we're not marketing it as an Ozempic I think it's just rolled into our weight loss program. It's one of the offerings. And then likely we're marketing our weight loss program. That's kind of how we do things, because then we have multiple things within that and customize that to the patient.
Yeah, that sounds like you're doing all the right stuff, but it's definitely like, I would definitely have someone look at it. Of course, we'd be happy to look at it for you.
Well, awesome. That any other big pitfalls you feel like we've missed? We've covered so much great ground today. Oh, I did want to make one other comment. You on the consent form not being signed in that one situation. I think that's that falls under the errors and omissions part of a general liability policy. It may not be included in the professional liability policy piece of things, but another good reason to engage with Sara and Lengia Law is look at your insurance coverage and make sure it's appropriate for your actual needs, because I've found over the years these insurance companies, they don't classify things the same way. They don't look at things the same way. They want to insure some things and not insure other things. They really just, bottom line, they don't have their shit together in terms of consensus. They certainly don't know state law. They don't address it the way we do. So I think there's a lot of exposure with this main thing that you think is to cover all your exposure.
Definitely. And as our businesses grow, and when you first filled out your insurance application and you talked about how we do, 10 Botox clients a week, and now you're doing, 100, that the insurance company thinks is as a lie, as an untruth in your application now. And so that could be the difference between getting covered and not. So you just have to make sure that on a yearly basis, at least, you update your stats that you're giving to the insurance company, because they're looking for ways not to pay. They're not looking for, the benefit of the doubt. They're trying to find, especially if it's a bigger claim. So there are all these policies that you would think that, for example, something like, let's say your fridge stopped working and your Botox got warm. your professional liability insurance is not going to cover it. And your general liability insurance may also not cover it. You may need something called business interruption insurance to cover this, or another kind of insurance. So it's like, insurance is a really tricky subject all on its own, whether something is covered or not. So I definitely would recommend like having someone who's a professional and looking at those policies, look at it like a lawyer or an insurance consultant.
And you could have done everything you thought you needed to do on the patient side of things. And meanwhile, your offshore marketing company markets semaglutide as a Ozempic. You don't even see the post go up on a Tuesday. On Friday, you get a nasty letter, and maybe you don't have coverage from a manufacturer. Whoever thought that a manufacturer could come after me and sue me for damages?
Exactly. And in that case, also the patients can sue you for damages. So the patients can come and say, this was false advertising to me. I thought I was getting an FDA approved product. I thought I was getting one thing and I got something else. So yeah, definitely have to be careful.
Sara, anything we're missing? Anything that any major pitfall you feel like we did not cover today that we need to hit on?
No, I think we did it. I think we did a good job covering a lot.
It's always such a pleasure speaking with you. I love your kind nature. I would not be scared to allow you to talk with a client of mine, because I can see that there's a bulldog there if I need defense, but I feel like just your nature of sharing, educating the population, this kind of concept that we're all going to rise together. And I want to thank you as well for your participation in our LinkedIn groups and online in the Facebook group. I know people pose questions. Lots of lawyers are scared to, I can't offer you this or I can't offer you that. And I see you chime in generally with things that people need to be thinking about, if anything else. I want to encourage new practices. If you don't have a legal relationship, please call Lengia Law. They have a terrific program for you in the beginning for practices that are worried about their budget, know that they need a lawyer, don't know exactly why they need a lawyer or how they need a lawyer. Sara has a great program to kind of get your toes wet and know that you have legal side of things. And then as needed, if there's other projects going, then you guys would figure those things out. But just to know that you have a phone call away from getting legal advice. And Sara, I'm going to put you on the spot again, but at some point you offered a quick call or conversation with practices that are interested, maybe like a consultative call where you can just help them figure out where they are and maybe what their next step. Can I ask for our audience that you make that available again?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, we could certainly do that. Just schedule a free consultation with us and say you heard about us from Business of Aesthetics, and we'd be happy to do it. We love helping people and taking the nice approach whenever possible with everyone.
What's the best way for me to schedule that consultation, and also just in general to reach out to Lengia Law and your team?
The best way would be to just go on our website, which is www.lengealaw.com.
And is there a tab on that site to schedule a consultation?
Yes.
Awesome. If you want to reach Sara directly, join our Facebook group and our LinkedIn group. I'm giving you inside info, but you get direct access. I know it's actually Sara because I've seen vacation pictures and other things on there, but no, it's awesome how you continue to participate with our group. Also in our newsletters, we highlight Sara and Lengia Law. They, like I said, are our resident legal experts. I think they're just well versed over the entire United States. Sara's based in New York with her team, but they have affiliate partners all over the United States. They have and abroad as well, but clients that are using them for legal services, really everywhere. And now, Sarah, it's been what, 15 years, or it's been, how long has it been for you?
Practicing law?
Yeah.
Since 2007. Oh, yeah, 16 years, I guess. Oh my God. Yeah, it's been a long time. But the Botox keeps me looking young, so I'm excited.
And you have these good, and you have a reimbursement account.
Right. I reimbursed myself. Yeah.
On behalf of the Business of Aesthetics community, thank you all for listening to this. We hope it's been really good information. I can't see how it isn't. Our goal is to continue to deliver solid, transparent, honest advice to better your practice, to better your enjoyment in your practice, your employees, and really just get more fulfillment out of what we're all doing. So thank you for being a part of this community, Sarah. Thank you for supporting us, continuing to help people get this type of education and really sharing so much knowledge with our community. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Jeff. My pleasure.
Are you ready for more? Swing by www.businessofesthetics.org. Resources for a free ebook and a vault of free resources. Elevate your aesthetic savvy. Explore now. Thank you for joining us this week on the Business of Aesthetic podcast series, brought to you by our gold sponsors, MRP and Equa Marketing, and silver sponsors, Lengea Law and ProNox. Would you like to join our growing group of aesthetic industry experts and get featured on the Business of Aesthetics podcast? Or do you know someone who would love to share their strategies for growth in the aesthetic business, providing quality patient care or their clinical expertise? Head over to www.businessofesthetics.org, podcast, show, and apply to be featured as a guest on the show. Remember to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen. If you would like to engage with today's speakers or any of our past speakers, join our Facebook group or LinkedIn group by searching for Business of Aesthetics. Thank you and have a great day.